Welcome to this week's edition of the World Crisis Radio. And today our slogan is, On Wisconsin, on Wisconsin. Hit 'em again, harder, harder. The working people of Wisconsin are rising up against this tin pot Republican reactionary would-be dictator, Walker. And they are on their way to providing an example for working people all over the United States and all over the world. The American working class awakening, seemingly for the first time in many decades, perhaps since about 1971 and the breakdown of the Bretton Woods system, Nixon's Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, and the union-busting orgy that followed under Nixon and then under Reagan. But now we're getting something different. The mass strike dynamic is at work, and working people are doing something about it. We know the situation. The governor of Wisconsin, Walker, a newly minted reactionary, he's a thug. He's an amateur. He doesn't know what he's doing. He comes out and says, I'm going to cut your benefits. I'm going to basically cut your wages by rerouting that money into pension programs and other health care benefits and so forth. I'm going to cut your wages. And this was already bad enough. But then, like the fool he is, he went further and said, I'm also going to permanently take away your collective bargaining rights, those rights that American working people have been fighting for the best part of 2 centuries. This reactionary, nothing conservative about him. In 5 days, he wants to roll back a century of labor history in Wisconsin. He doesn't care about traditions. He doesn't care about organic change. He's a right-wing radical, a right-wing extremist, and it's time for him to be impeached, for him to be indicted, for him to be recalled, or otherwise ousted at the first opportunity. But he went too far. We notice that there have been strikebreakers in the land, right? Scabbing is nothing new. The strikebreaker in chief, of course, is Obama. Obama has been doing his work of strikebreaking against the teachers union, as we've repeatedly covered on this program, with the help of Arne Duncan, the Secretary of Education. But here we're dealing with a gradual process. We're dealing with something that it's like the slow action of a boa constrictor, not the immediate fall of the blade of the guillotine. In the case of Walker, because of his bungling stupidity, amateurism, and obviously he's ideologized to the point where his reality content is very low, he thinks he can get away with this stuff. Now, if you look at those trade union bureaucrats in Wisconsin, they would be glad to have somebody like Andrew Cuomo or Jerry Brown who would say to them, let's sit down at the table and you can gradually bargain away and fritter away the rights that your members have been fighting for all their lives and which go back 200 years in American political history. They'd love to have the cover that Jerry Brown or Cuomo or indeed Obama and Arne Duncan could give them. But in the case of Walker, his game is different. He says, I will give you trade union guys no cover. I will come out and say, we're smashing the union right now today. Now, this guy apparently ran as some kind of a compassionate conservative, somebody who claimed to be a uniter, not a divider. And we had the editor of the local paper there in Madison, Wisconsin, on the television yesterday saying this was really a surprise to people because he didn't say, I am a ferocious union buster, I am the king of the scabs, I will break the union, I will leave you nothing but your eyes to cry with, I will strip you of all of your rights. No, he didn't do that. So therefore it comes to some degree as a surprise. Now, of course, this same Walker had just voted about $120 million in budget cuts and corporate welfare for fat cat corporations, his political backers and supporters. And then he turns around and he says, and now that I've created this deficit, I'm going to gouge it out of the hide of working people. So therefore, the firemen and the policemen were partially exempted, the prison workers not, and of course the teachers, the government office employees, the government bureaucrats also not exempted. So he's in effect forced them to fight. He has backed the U.S. labor movement into a corner where it really has no choice but to fight. If you don't fight under these conditions, then you might as well take your retirement in Miami Beach or wherever it is and get out of town. Now, we're told that as we record the program here on the 18th of February, a little bit after 1 o'clock Eastern time, that Rich Trumka, the head of the AFL-CIO, is now visiting Madison, Wisconsin. And we put out a call to Rich. Hey, Rich, where's our call for a general strike? We need a nationwide, open-ended general strike in support of the Wisconsin demonstrations. However, we need it on the basis of a program of political demands. And this is the thing that we want to address in this program. It's great to say we're supporting the strike. We're in full solidarity with the Wisconsin demonstrations. Yes, we are. We are all those things and more. But now is the hour not of delivering soup and coffee to a picket line. You can do that too. But political strike support. Strike support based on a program, based on a strategy, something that can expand the support for this movement, spread it, expand it, get beyond the existing divisions. Right now, it's a strike, apparently, of school teachers, some government employees of the state of Wisconsin. This is too narrow. It's got to go to other states. But even within Wisconsin, if you want to make this a pilot project, the public workers are great. They've got to be joined by private sector workers. Where are the private sector unions? Where are the unemployed? Who's organizing the unemployed? And who's speaking up for their interests? How about the 99ers? What are you saying for the 99ers, you guys in Wisconsin? And then, of course, in the society we live in today, we have retired people. What are you doing for them? Are you demanding no cuts in Social Security, no cuts in Medicare, no cuts in Medicaid? That also feeds then into the unemployed. How about students? The students are there, but are there some demands that could express their needs? Things like a free college education for everybody, relief on student loans, 0% interest on student loans. These are the questions of political strike support. And it means a program, which is not just a program, but it's also a strategy. Because your program, in addition to addressing the actual process of restarting an economy, which has been slammed by an unprecedented world economic depression, Wall Street bubble, derivatives orgy, you've also got to make sure that those demands are intelligible to the other people, the other groups in the society that you want to bring in. Nothing is more guaranteed to lose than a narrow trade union approach. Now, already with Wisconsin, the approach is already implicitly political, but it's got to be made explicitly political. And quite frankly, who has a program? What is an economic program? The Democratic Party has no economic program. They have a series of social demands, some of which have some merit, some of which have no merit, some of which are absolutely atrocious. They also have positions on a limited number of economic issues, but they don't have a program. There is no such thing as an economic program in the Democratic Party. And that means, on the one side, from the economic point of view, it's got to be capable of actually delivering an economic recovery, restarting an economy which has been slammed by the events of 2008 and 2009, sinking ever deeper into depression with growing unemployment. And that's got to be somehow accessible in terms of what the various groups in society can understand as their immediate interest. And the interest, of course, to survive, to have a job, to have some housing and some health care, and so forth. So this is the problem. We have now the dynamics of the mass strike. We need the AFL-CIO, if they're going to be worth anything, to do something in terms of a general strike. But that it takes more, because if they don't do that, of course, Trumka will be swept aside. He'll be simply irrelevant, and he'll have to run later on to catch up with the movement so that he can mislead it. So on Wisconsin, a naked class attack by Walker has got to be answered by class defense. We'll be back in a minute.